let's go to talk about the markets in general. We continue the current trading week, the first full week in the month of May on a negative territory. If you look at the global marketplace, if you're on the street, you already know President Trump tweeted 120 words tweet, and the global market is suffering nearly $1.5 trillion in losses. This morning, the global market, stock market, still in a negative territory. Even as we speak, the European markets in the red. Asia finished today in negative territory as well. Gold seems to be gaining. Bitcoin is smiling. Oil prices still in a negative territory. But the market here in Nigeria is trying to find its own bearing. Yes, investors are still trying to find levels. We fell below the current or the previous support levels yesterday, and that brings us to 28,000 on our composite index. Let's get Temple Ashaju, who is our business correspondent at the Nigerian Stock Exchange, to weigh into this conversation. Now that we're breaking new support level, we're hitting a new low, and everyone is asking, that's on the stock side. On the unlisted securities market, we had a gain yesterday, just a very massive one, more than 1% on the side of the NESD over-the-counter. Temple, good morning. Welcome to the program.
Good morning, Bosa.
It's good to have you here. So, bring us up to speed here. This is breaking new lows, as it were. Let's start with the stock market.
Yeah, it's new lows because those are levels that we haven't been since the first quarter of 2017, but that's where we are back to right now. And of course, it's due to the less interest of investors in the markets, talking about the foreign portfolio investors, given the risk of sentiments that we're beginning to see in our markets here. Because as you alluded earlier, I mean, Bitcoins is currently good. Gold is back as a safe haven for a lot of global investors. Crude oil market has also experienced some rallies up until a few sessions ago. But, you know, emerging and frontier markets across the globe seem to be enjoying some good moment right now. It's about only the Nigerian markets that is left out. And, of course, that is due to some kind of internal factors that we have here. We just concluded our elections, and the fact that we haven't had announcements of, cabinet members from the federal government, and the fact again that we haven't really seen the budget 2019 being assented to. Yes, it's been passed by the National Assembly, but we're really yet to hear from the executives, as it were. Those are reasons why we are still where we are at this point in time. And of course, now that we're back to 28,000 psychological line, we're probably going to be seeing more of profits taken for some prices that are looking really attractive at this point in time. We're going to be seeing some investors, picking on all of those prices that have, hit the floors, and some bargain hunting will basically set in going forward. I think basically we've seen two tales of for first half of 2019 so far, because for the greater part of the Q1 it was quite positive, but now that we're seeing now in the Q2 things are not looking so bright. But it gives room for some investors to come in, do some buying ahead of second half of 2019. Perhaps then we would have seen some reactions from the federal government, from the fiscal authorities, and of course the monetary authorities, who will do some kind of policy decision implementation here, and then be able to bring back some FPIs enough for domestic investors who have taken position at this point, to be able to take some good profit and get out of the market, because the level of profit that we are seeing right now are not too strong. And it's just the domestic players that are really cherry picking in the market. If you look at companies like Japol, which has in recent time gained about 95% in some 10 sessions for the greater part of this week, Monday through till Thursday as we speak, it is dipping. So it is profit taking. There was a time that some investors were meant to come into Japol, but at that point you saw some good rally on the price of Japol. So since then, we didn't see these investors, and the price went back to a nominal of, I think, some 20 kobo and all of that. Now that the price has hit some 40-something kobo. It gives room for some investors to do some valuation and then take profit, given their investments that had been in this particular company for some time. We're seeing the same thing on the likes of Charms PLC, which is falling to 20, which was at 20 kobo for a long time. And now that it has hit some 48 kobo, 50 kobo, it's an opportunity for some investors to also take their age-long profits that has been hanging on this particular company for some time. So that's the kind of sentiment that's been playing out in the market, and the reasons are not far-fetched, Bosun.
Okay, so if you look at the trading day for Thursday, do you think anything is any? Are you looking at any figures beeping on the ticker tape that looks like, okay, perhaps it's going to be different from the 3 sessions we've put together so far this week? It's been a string of losses. We started a little very gentle negative reading, then it begins to get a bit bigger and bigger until we did nearly 0.5% yesterday in terms of the decline on the general index. So do you think this is widening a little bit, or is it likely we're going to shrink a little bit? Maybe finish off tomorrow for the week a bit on a very soft landing, perhaps.
It's not really certain, Bosun. For the past 3 sessions that we've seen in the market gets to start, with some mild gains, and before you know it, it closes southward, with some huge decline. The same thing is what we're seeing right now, up some 0.07%. That's the all-share index. And then before you know it, you see some bears setting into the market again, and raking off all of those profits. Right now, we're seeing the likes of Dangote Cement recording some gains. Guarantee Trust Bank has done some good numbers as well. Some 7.6 million units of its shares have been traded in the market, and it's about the most actively traded right now in the market with some gains, even though it is mild. But we'll just have to wait and see what happens eventually until the news breaks that can then change the narrative for us here, Bosun.
Okay, we got a couple more hours to go. Got about 4.5 hours to go. Let's hold on till then. Thank you, everyone, Temple. We thank everyone for watching. We'll see you again tomorrow, Friday.